Can eating too many plants make you sick? Dr. Robert Cassar, eartheracademy.com. Rethinking reality. Can eating too many plants make you sick? Let's get into that. Now, plants, don't get me wrong. Remember, plants are one of the best ways, like I've been teaching, for 180 days for you to be able to detox and cleanse yourself. Because that's what most of the plants do. They don't really feed you, but they will thoroughly cleanse you and detox you, especially if you use a lot of the protocols we teach at Earther Academy. But there will be a time, okay, when maybe you're taking in too many plants and, well, now you start to maybe feel the feelings of maybe what you think is detoxification. So let's get into this just a little deeper. So let's say, okay, well, you wanted to go on a detox program for 180 days, like I said, like I've been teaching. Then when you start using all the herbs, even spices, okay, all different types of superfoods, different types of, well, extracts like turmeric, okay, and starting to eat all different types of, well, you're eating maybe organic foods and so forth. Remember, most of the things are in packages. You do eat kale out of your garden. You do have vegetables, okay, which is a nice thing. But like I said, these are a catabolic event. Catabolic means that your system is going to break down. Remember, that's what we want to do with the plant diet. Now, is it a long-term diet? Well, depends on maybe your physiology, depends on your race, depends on maybe if you exercise or not. Maybe it depends on if you live in the city or maybe you live out in the country. Maybe it depends on if you, well, process your own food or you buy your own food. Lots of different variables. But let me tell you this, okay? When you do vegetables, okay, there are things that we don't learn about them, like oxalates, okay? We start to hear a little bit about sometimes phytoestrogens. Okay, phytoestrogens are plant estrogens. And if you're a man, or wanting to be one, then maybe plant estrogens aren't the greatest things for you to put in your body. And if you've already got, well, high estrogen already, girls, then maybe that's one of the things you're going to want to learn about before you get into the heavy-duty vegan type of lifestyle. Remember, all these types of vegetable lifestyles are detoxificational and cleansing, so you have to watch yourself. Because you can have too many plants. You can take in too many of these compounds. And some of the compounds, let's just go over them real quick. Okay, we know that plants make their own defense mechanisms. They're called phytoalexins. And these plants, basically, what they do is they make these certain substances to make sure that pests do not eat them. Like cabbage has 49 endogenous pesticides that are grown inside that plant to make sure that something that eats it isn't going to like it, going to get a stomach ache, or maybe it's going to kill it or deter anything else from wanting to eat it. So, you know, when you start looking at all the different compounds in plants, 99% of the pesticides, remember, that are in your body right now, you can look up that article, 99% of the pesticides in your body come from plants. Not because they're sprayed on them, it's because the plants basically have them inside them. So this is why it's super necessary to be able to learn how to ferment your foods, okay? And fermentation takes out another poison that's in plants, if we don't know about it, called phytates, phytic acid. And phytic acid is something that's, well, in most plants, and of course what it does is it holds on to the minerals into the plant. Phytic acid's pretty smart, okay? So the problem is when you eat this plant with phytic acid in it, then maybe the phytic acid is not going to do good for you, is because it's going to hold your minerals tight, or maybe even make it so you can't absorb a lot of minerals. This is why we ferment products. If you haven't watched our videos on fermentation, then you want to go ahead and actually try to ferment the vegetables that you're eating to make sure you can cut down on these phytates. Anyways, we'll leave that for right now. And okay, so there's all different types of plant compounds. Remember, we believe, okay, that, well, plants are for us to, well, really eat? Of course. Well, the plants are here. They're here for a reason, right? They make the oxygen. They provide all this greenery. They give us all different types of oils and fruits and different things. But they do have defense mechanisms inside them. Okay, these are called endogenous pesticides. So what happens is, if we eat too many of these plants, then we start accumulating these defense mechanisms in the body, and you start getting a problem in your belly, like I did. And a lot of people in the plant, well, eating world, start having problems with their belly. Okay, look at this guy. He's just hanging in the shade right here. This is an African cicada, and he's the small one. He's digging a hole back there though. Gotta watch him, he's gonna dig under the fence and get out. Okay, so this animal, remember, eats all this grass that's on the ground. Check it out, he's in grass heaven. It's because he could eat this grass, digest it, is because he can, he's made to do this, and then he poops out this magical stuff right here. And you can see it. And this is a way for the plants to go ahead and be digested through this animal, and it gives it everything it needs to be able to, just like a cow that eats grass, gives it everything it needs from this grass, because it eats 10 hours a day. And what it does, turn this around again. Oh, there we go. Make sure we're still recording. Yeah, okay. So what it does, these animals that eat this grass turn it magically, is because they have a special gut. Remember, their gut is different than our gut, okay? So a lot of the plants that we take in our bodies, since we don't really have the gut of an herbivore, and an herbivore has a special gut. It has a rumen inside, it ferments everything, even chimpanzees, monkeys, all different types of primates. Remember, they have a big fermented chamber too, but it's in the back of their colon. The cecum. Ours is about this big. Theirs is huge, to be able to ferment and break down plants, plant material, insoluble fiber. So a lot of times what happens is that we take in too much insoluble fiber in our body and we start getting compacted up, you start getting constipation. Remember, can you eat too many plants? Yeah, you can eat way too many plants. And of course, if you're eating grains, and I stopped eating grains a long time ago, okay, but if you're eating grains, these grains make inflammation. They cause a lot of problems in the gut. Remember, plants need to be processed. And if you eat them raw, you gotta watch it, guys. I mean, I'm just learning all these things right now is because my gut was destroyed, okay, from maybe too many of the different chemicals that are in the plants, and even the chemicals that are sprayed on them. Just because it's organic doesn't mean that these plants are clean. No, it doesn't. So when's the last time you took a break from oxalates? Think about it. Let's say you're starting out on a brand new diet right now, you want to go vegan or vegetarian. Do you know anything about oxalates? Do you know anything about lectins? Do you know anything about phytoestrogens? Do you know anything about xenoestrogens? Do you know anything about, well, the plant's defense mechanisms that are in every plant? Did you know that all plants have poison in them? Okay? And of course, the dose is the amount of poison that you get. You take a little bit and your body actually gets really good with these plants, because what it does is it learns how to sort of get stimulated to fight off this very minimal assaults, like getting bit with fire ants or getting bit with a bee a lot of times. That little bit of venom sometimes stimulates us, like going into the sauna, going into the cold plunge to stimulate our bodies to make some glutathione. So we can go ahead and get a stronger immune system. But if we eat too many of these things, okay, they're loaded full of terpenes. Terpenes are certain plant defense mechanisms to make it so pests do not eat them, like this cinnamon tree right here. This cinnamon tree right now, you can see, doesn't have anything that's eaten its leaves. A couple of things, but hardly anything. Why? Because this thing is loaded full of terpenes. Whew. Cinnamon. Tastes really good. Now, can you eat too many plants? Again, remember, you can gain body fat if you eat too many plants, eat too many grains, eat too many nuts, eat too many seeds. You don't process your foods, and now all of a sudden you're getting malnourishment. Is because now all of a sudden you've got irritable bowel syndrome, or you've got SIBO. You've got too much bacteria, the wrong bacteria in your belly. Can you take too many plants in your body to make you sick. Yes, how about mental sickness? Why? Because if you don't put anything else but plants in your body, then a lot of times you're not getting all the essential micronutrients that your body needs. Yes, it does. It needs all these different types of fats, okay? Saturated fats, DHA, here he comes, DHA, EPA, okay? All the different things that basically, well, are found only in creatures that know how to process this out of plants or take it from other animals, is because everything exchanges energy on this planet here we live on. Okay, so here, let me set this up here. You can watch him walk for a little bit. Everything exchanges energy, no matter what it is. Okay, so the magical thing is that there's certain animals here and certain species that can learn how to take light better than we can, because that's what the plants do. Their mitochondria is a different type than this guy's mitochondria, which of course is taking the mitochondria from the sun, those solar panels, the grass, and what he does is he eats them, and for some cool reason his anatomy inside his body lets him go ahead and break down this sort of worthless grass and turn it into this machine with the shell, with all these different defense mechanisms he has. Look at those things. Okay, thing looks just like a snake, doesn't it? Yeah, everything's interconnected and we all exchange energy here. So if you're eating too many plants, it's because maybe that you're doing too much detoxification. Let me turn this around here. Okay, and if you're doing too much detoxification, then what happens is that your body becomes not only malnourished, becomes assaulted. So let's say you're eating kale. Remember, it's loaded full of oxalates. Kale, spinach, almonds, almond butter, okay, chard, sorrel, tons of different plants, cacao, okay, all have high amounts of oxalates. And if you have too many oxalates in your system consistently, then your system doesn't know what to do with them. No, it doesn't. And so what happens is you start getting gastrointestinal problems. If you have inflammation in your body, these oxalates will go to these areas and cause more inflammation. So, one of the side effects of eating too many plants, we already know. You eat the wrong plants, you get fat. You eat the wrong plants again, and you get malnourished. If you eat too many of the plants, you can get yourself a ton of herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, okay? All different types of chemicals that are put on these plants to make sure that the farmers can get a crop. So if you're constantly taking in these vegetables, okay, and you're taking in, remember the vegetables, okay, the different foods you're eating have pesticides that are in the plants, so if you process them correctly, like potatoes, you'd go ahead and take off the peels, okay, the edge, okay, the skin, and then from there what you do is you get a pressure cooker. And if you really wanted to eat them because you like them, then you do. It's because there's really not that much in them unless you process them correctly. Okay, it's the same with anything. You want to get rid of some of the oxalates in the spinach? Well, your mama was doing something maybe that was the right thing to do, which was what? There he is. Which was what? Cook the spinach. Okay, it'll reduce some of the oxalates. So, you know, fermentation is what we used to do all the time, is because we knew we had to process the plants. You don't just eat them off the tree. You can fruit and different things like that, of course. But if you're thinking, okay, that your body needs oxalates, it really doesn't. Your oxalate amount, daily amount in your food should be probably less than 50 or 100. And most likely if you're on the vegan or vegetarian diet and you're doing green kale smoothies and you're doing a lot of greens and you're eating a lot of things that basically have oxalates in them, cacao, then you may be getting between 1,000 and 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams in a day. Remember, a green smoothie will have about 1,000 milligrams of oxalates in it. So remember, the vegetarian diet is a catabolic diet, and this diet will cleanse you and detox you. It's not going to build you. You're not going to go ahead and see people that are building, and if you do see people that are building, it's only because maybe they've learned to be better herbivores than someone else, or they're cheating. Because it's really hard to grow muscle, okay, with plants at all. If you can even keep what you got, that's one thing, but remember, plants are catabolic. And what's anabolic? Well, anything comes from animal-based products is anabolic. Anything you eat, the fish from the ocean, the eggs from the fish from the ocean, the eggs, fertile eggs of course, and it can't be infected anything. If it's infected, then all of what you're eating is garbage. You just get parasites. So the land here gives us fertile eggs, okay? Full of the good stuff in them that you can't find anywhere else. You can't find these things in plants. Okay, so if you eat too many plants, then what happens is you're not probably taking in any other types of products, so what happens is you're getting malnourished. So the other things that we would take from this plane here, and remember, everything's energy exchange. You're taking mitochondria that is basically closer to your biology than the mitochondria from a plant. The mitochondria from a plant, of course, is a solar mitochondria. It grabs sun rays and turns what it turns itself into. Pretty magical. But let's say a ruminant like a sheep, a goat, a cow, okay, or anything that eats grass, what they do is they take the grass, which of course is the solar panel mitochondria, and turn it into a mitochondria that can assimilate and catabolize, okay, this food, which of course is grass turning into muscle. Pretty magical again. We cannot eat the grass and turn ourselves into muscle. No, you can't. If you think you can, again, you may be a better ruminant than me. And a ruminant, of course, is an animal that, like I said, has a special gut. It ferments its food. It chews its cud, it spits back up, it goes ahead and re-chews again, and it eats about 12 to 16 hours a day to be able to sustain itself, to be able to do what it needs to do, to process these foods, okay, that are very hard for humans to break down. That's why you have to cook them. So let's get into, can foods, okay, eating too many plants make you sick again? Well, we talked about pesticides. Remember, you got tons of pesticides. So when's the last time you've ever stopped a diet that you're eating that is high in certain poisons that you didn't even know you were eating? Remember, oxalates, lectins, isoflavones, all different types of estrogens that are in the plants, the different pesticides that are in the plants themselves that come with a healthy plant. Organic has more, is because it has more minerals to fight off pests better. That's why my garden worked better when it was organic. Why? Because it's got more of the good stuff in the soil it puts into its body, and it makes more plant defense mechanisms so the pests can't eat them. Okay, so if you have weak plants, then what happens is the pests eat them is because they don't have the defense mechanisms in the leaf or on whatever they're producing. So they get eaten by anything and anything that can process them without this poison. So now eating too many plants, again, would mean that maybe your bodies have accumulated a ton of different types of inflammations that you didn't even know you were getting from your diet. So this diet that I was on 15 years of a blood-free diet, but I still, okay, had eggs, cheese, and some butter. In the beginning I had some raw milk too, but hardly any. Now, I knew that, of course, the vegan diet, you have to have 30 different types of supplements or so just to be able to say that I think I'm getting close to the recommended daily allowance of things in my body so I don't get malnourished. I think. Remember, it's all an experiment. So if you're going to do the plant diet, okay, you need to get a lot of supplements. You're going to have to go ahead and figure out how to make sure that you don't get too malnourished. And in time, if you keep on doing them, this is at least what I've seen so far, not only with myself. Like I said, I did 15 years of blood-free. I was a lacto-ovo vegan, okay? Lacto, okay? Yeah, I had some milk products, let's say, okay? Ovo, yeah, I had some eggs. I had 2 or 3 eggs every night just to be able to make sure that I had that. But on my 12th year, okay, of doing plants, I started falling apart. All my joints started to really hurt me. My elbow, my knuckles, my hands, my hip. I couldn't ride my bike for almost 2 years, and I still even haven't rode it now. It's because my hip is about 90% better since I've changed my diet, but it's still healing. But at least I can run. Before I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even trim my toenails on my right side at all. And this is because my hip was so inflamed. I couldn't raise my hip up. So I got a lot of different deficiency problems and inflammatory problems. My gut was terrible, super bad. And I learned how to go ahead and maybe take certain mucoids like chia seeds and different things to be able to help me poop. But once I stopped the fiber in my diet, it took me about 2 months because I got a lot of diarrhea when I stopped eating oxalates. Is because now I started to get oxalate dumping. And oxalate dumping basically is when your body starts to throw off these oxalates. And so you will think that maybe it's your diet, but it's really not. It's basically all the stuff that's coming out of you because you're not putting it in you. So basically what I did was I started cutting out all my greens. They're gone. I never had greens or grains before anyways. Once in a while I'd have quinoa or lentils or some type of soup, but every time I did that, I just got a stomach ache, so I stopped eating that a while ago. And basically no nuts, no seeds, just got away from everything. And I just had a potato here and there, and those were bothering me so much after a while too. I wanted to make sure that I eliminated everything that I knew that could be possibly messing up my stomach. And the only things that basically I found out, remember the plants have a lot of anti-inflammatory compounds in them, but if you take too many, then they become inflammatory. You got to get that through your head. I had to. I take too much turmeric, I take too many things, and now I'm assaulting my body instead of actually like poisoning it very slowly. Okay, one time, and all of a sudden my body learns how to go ahead and you know, negotiate that assault. So, anyways. Okay, there's so much to say, and I'm just trying to lay this out a little bit. Remember, my diet right now is only fish, eggs, okay, from the terrestrial plane, fertile eggs, of course, organic, and ones that eat not just organic, sitting in a cage and eating organic soy, okay, but ones that eat insects, and that's hard to find. You have to go to your local farmer's market and make sure they got a big, huge pasture. And I have grass-fed liver. Helped me regenerate so much. Like I said, I've gained 20 pounds in 6 months of pure muscle. 20 pounds. I'm doing squats now again. Okay, my joints, 95% of all my inflammation, including that was in my hands, a lot of it was in my face too. Because once you get malnourished, you start pre-aging yourself. Okay, you start getting old really fast. You start feeling old real fast. You don't maybe feel sick, but you look sick. Okay, and this is what happened to me. Your eyes start sucking in your head. Okay, your body can only go so far on plants without putting in these essential micronutrients, especially if you exercise. If you're sitting on your tail all day, then maybe you can last a little longer. But I'm into performance, and I like to go ahead and ride bikes and work out at the gym. So now since I'm working out, since I've been only eating grass-fed liver, grass-fed beef, eggs, fish, and chicken wings, okay, for the fats. That's it. And I have about 2 pounds. Oh, and I also have raw fish too. I have raw tuna or raw marlin every day. And of course, there's a lot of nuances to what I'm doing. It's not just eating this stuff. It's basically, there's a lot of story to go along with it. Remember, if you want to gain muscle, then you're going to have to eat denatured protein. That means it's all cooked to death. Or you want to eat maybe, well, undenatured protein, which means it hasn't been destroyed yet. Okay? That's what it means. So if you cook it too much, then what happens is that you destroy a lot of the mitochondria in there. And if you want to rebuild your mitochondria, then you're going to have to eat some that hasn't been destroyed yet. Okay, non-denatured protein. So I've been having, you know, super medium rare steaks, liver, having a lot of raw fish, best thing I've ever done. And my gut is better than it has been in 15 years, because I used to go to the toilet 10 times a day, eating all this fiber, all this insoluble fiber. Remember, my body does not break down ferments. Excuse me, insoluble cellulose is because I don't have a ferment chamber. And if I want to break down that that insoluble fiber, I have to put it on my counter and make some ferments. Okay, so anyways, in order for you to really break down vegetables the way you want them so they're bioavailable, you need to ferment them, most of them. And if not, then you need to process them certain ways to be able to make sure that you remove a lot of the irritants that are in these plants. So I see, you know, a lot of people asking me, hey, how'd you change your diet? Well, what I have now is I have fruit right before I'm going to work out, like 5 minutes before, just a couple pieces of fresh fruit. And that gives me super energy, my carbs, to give me, so I've got energy, explosive energy in the gym. Now, I'll eat 2 meals a day. I have a snack, maybe a pound of mahi-mahi, and 3 eggs, or maybe half a pound of liver, okay, and 3 eggs. But I'll have 3 eggs every day, no matter what, and I'll have a side dish. Maybe it's smoked marlin, or maybe it's just sashimi, okay, from different fish that we go ahead and make raw fish sashimi out of, which is super, super good. And then in the evening, I eat as much as I want, and I have usually 2 to 3 to 4 different types of proteins. I'll have chicken wings, I'll have liver, I'll have either kidney, grass-fed beef. I'll have usually either 1 or 2 different types of fish. And that's my, my protein. And most of what I use for oils is I use suet, which is beef tallow. It's an organ that surrounds the kidney. And I eat probably about a 1/4 pound of this a day with my evening meal. And this is a sort of like it looks like fat, but it's actually an organ inside the body, protects the body. Here's the ducks. Hey guys, what's up? So, there are lots of things to learn about. If you're going to do a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, then, hey guys, what's up? If you're going to do a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, then you're going to want to really learn, okay, some of these different, what I call booby traps for plants, okay? And booby traps are certain things that you don't know and you have no idea about, like lectins, like oxalates, like phytoestrogens, phytic acid, phytates, endogenous pesticides. You don't know about phytoalexins, and we'll get into this on other videos. But you can take too many plants in and make you sick. Yes, you can. And if you do that, then all you're doing is going to have to do what I'm doing now. You're going to have to refeed yourself. Remember, you can only go so far without becoming malnourished. So make sure that if you're going to do the plant-based diet, that's good. You need to have enough minerals in your body. And I still take about 60 to 80 drops of magnesium minerals every day. And you also need to make sure that you're getting a lot of supplementation, which I really don't like to take. Why would I want to go ahead and take a bunch of chemical types of vitamins and vitamin B12 and all different, things that they say if I'm going to have a plant diet, I'm going to have to take all these chemicals, all these different things that are in a bottle. And I'm going to eat all these things out of a bag in a can. And I'm going to eat cheese, but it's going to be vegan cheese, which of course I wouldn't touch that stuff. I'm going to have maybe oat milk and high fiber different foods. And of course, personally, what I found out is if you have stomach problems, you have intestinal problems, okay, then maybe you have digestive problems, maybe you have absorption problems now. It's because you're getting malnourished. So what I've done is take all the fiber out of my diet, and that's done magic to me. Like I said, okay, you're going to go through a detox just by stop eating the plants, and I call that oxalate overload. And that may last 2 weeks to 2 or 3 months. Mine took me about 5 months before I felt like all of a sudden all my joints really, completely feel like they're not inflamed. But the first month was miraculous, is because right away I stopped putting in these inflammatory types of plants. Remember, you take too many of them in, and all you do is you inflame yourself. So, flip this thing around again. Okay, I lost my sound there for a sec, so let's pick up where we left off. Now, the type of idea you have to keep in your head is that if you keep on a plant-based diet, most of you, you're going to wind up in time, because most likely, as all vegans say and a lot of people say, you didn't do it right. Well, I don't know too many people that are doing it right, because they don't last over 5 years by doing these types of, it's not an extreme diet. Remember, it's a cleansing and detoxification diet, which really will tell you that you can only cleanse and detoxify yourself so long. It's like doing fasting. How long can you fast for? Well, it's the same with vegan. You got to understand, most people, that's a fast for you guys. It's a spiritual fast. And it's good for you to do that. It's good for you to, like I said, go ahead and do fruit for a month too. Go ahead and see. Okay, these are all detoxification diets, cleansing diets. But if you want to refeed yourself, this is what I found out. you're going to need to put in biologically similar types of things inside your body to rebuild yourself. So, like I said, I've gained 20 pounds, okay? Actually 21 pounds. I'm almost 150 pounds. I'm like 149 right now. And I started this carnivore and fruit. I call it the gecko diet. It's because I've been staring at geckos, the lizards. I feed them every day on my counter up there, on my upstairs. I'll show you behind me. My upstairs lanai up there. I've got all these lizards up there, and I put a dish of fruit over there. And so not only does the fruit attract flies and bugs, they eat the bugs and they eat the fruit. So it's a pretty magnificent animal if you look at the gecko, because it's one of the only animals that you know that can regenerate itself. You cut its tail off and what does it do? It grows another one. It's pretty magical being. And it's not the lizard diet or anything. It's not the lion diet or the snake diet. These are all different types of diets, and they all have their positives, and of course they probably have negatives to them too, because it's all an experiment. But I'm just having fruit right now, and I'm having animal products only. Fish eggs, terrestrial chicken eggs. Okay, and again, nothing infected. You can't have infected flesh, processed flesh. I don't eat anything out of a box, anything out of a can. I'm staying away from all of these. Look, you know how many antibiotics, hormones, and vaccines are in processed garbage, okay, conventionally grown, you can call it meat or animal products. Those are all sick. You eat that, and of course, they're full of different types of toxicity inside them. Yes, they are. Okay, you feed an animal moldy grain. Okay, let's say you're feeding these ruminant animals. They're not out in that pasture behind me over there just eating grass all day. They feed these animals, okay, usually the last 6 months, 3 to 6 months, they feed them high amounts of corn, soy cake, okay, all different things that are just junk food that humans will not eat, because if they can sell it, remember I'm a farmer, if you can sell it to someone else and they'll pay more, you're not selling it for animal food. No, you're not. So what happens is that you feed all these animals this moldy grain, all this junk, okay? Stuff that people can't eat. And of course they have to give these animals antibiotics and all different things. Why? It's because you're feeding them toxic food. And so this food has full of mold in it. They even put mold pellets in the ears in commercially grown cattle, a lot of people do. And what does that do? The mold makes estrogen. Estrogen makes you fat. It gives you get to be a fatty. A lot of guys you'll see they got cheese on their arms, okay, and cheese on their stomach. And and that cheese, remember, means that's that thing they call cellulite. That just means you have high estrogen, guys. You got boobies, look. around your boobie, okay? You shouldn't have a lump there. You should be able to just pinch this thing, okay? And it shouldn't have a bud in here. And if you do have a bud in here and it hurts, that means you've got high estrogen, guys. You're not supposed to have mammillary glands. You're not breast milking. You're not going to have a baby, in fact. Okay? But the hormones that you're taking in your foods, okay? And not just in your foods, but remember, soda cans, anything in a can, BPA, endocrine disruptors, okay? They're all part of this pie, okay? These are estrogen mimicking molecules. These are certain things at super small amounts, okay? Like atrazine and glyphosate, okay? They've been shown by different studies to be able to take like a North American frog, soak it in 1 part per billion of atrazine, which is an herbicide they spray all over the place, everywhere, sort of like Roundup. And this herbicide at 1 part per billion changes this North American leopard frog and turns it into a female. Not only a female, but a breeding female. That's pretty good. Okay, what happens to you when you eat it? What happens to the animals that eat this? Okay, look at all the hogs that become sterile from eating corn, okay, and soy. Okay, from all the BT toxins, okay, the BT corn. Okay, these are certain molds and different things that are on these foods, and if the animals eat these foods, that flesh is sick. And now, of course, refeeding yourself is not with sick flesh. It's only with, well, the only way you can get unsick flesh is to have them in a pasture. It's just the way it is. Okay, and yeah, I don't condone any factory farming of anything. Okay, I don't care if it's factory farming of broccoli. Okay, look at all the damage and the death you're causing just to go ahead and monocrop, guys. Okay, you don't think the the herbicides, the fungicides, the insecticides, the pesticides, okay, all these things that you put them on the plants in the soil, okay, they run off when they rain. You don't think that death toxic chemical that keeps on giving, okay, you know, just like yeah, anyways, it just keeps on giving, goes into the streams, turns things, okay, as they say, turns frogs not only gay, they say, if you read the research, okay, turns these male frogs and they want to replicate or hump other male frogs. So it's sort of weird. So again, I'm taking a rest from all of these compounds: oxalates, lectins, isoflavins, phytoestrogens, phytoalexins, okay, well, these are xeno, think of outside xeno means, okay? So you got a xenopesticide, that's a pesticide that's put on outside the system, okay? And you have endogenous pesticides, and those are pesticides that are grown inside the plants. And yes, they do accumulate in your body, and yes, they will cause problems with your gut because they're pesticides. If you eat too many of them, it's pretty simple. If you just eat a little bit of them, maybe they won't bother you so much. But if you exclusively eat all these different types of plants like I was doing before, and I'd have a couple, 3 eggs a day, okay, that's fine. And I have a little raw butter, you know, butter in my eggs to cook them up. But that was it. Okay, remember, I'm a lacto-ovo vegan, as you can call it. And a vegan, of course, no one's bagging on anybody's, you know, they're all vegetarianism, fruitarianism. Just look at them as detoxificational diets, okay? Because you have to take 30 different supplements just to be able to maybe make sure that you have the RDA that's going to be closely related to what you need in your body so you don't go ahead and get malnourished. So what I do, like I said, I only have fruit right now. This is my rebuilding. I've built myself 20 pounds over 6 months. I don't know if I said this before because we got cut off, but I did a 6-month, my report of findings on my physical. Okay, remember, I was 127 pounds. Jesus, okay? That's the lightest I've ever been, okay? I mean, I wrestled 127 pounds in 10th grade. So my hips, my legs, my joints, all of the areas in my anything that moved that I put pressure on, I had a lot of problems with inflammation. And since I cut out all of these different types of inflammatory products, and if you eat too many of these plants, remember, they become inflammatory. Yes, they do. Make sure everything's working. Yes, they do. If you eat too many plants, they become inflammatory. So if they're inflammatory, then if you now have a problem, you think maybe it's, like I said, detoxification. And it may not be detoxification. It may be just because, well, you're irritating your gut. Or maybe that you're taking in certain types of chemicals in higher amounts. Because remember, just because the plant is a plant doesn't mean that it wasn't grown, okay, the way it should be. Remember, most plants only have NPK in them, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. You only have 3 minerals in them, so what do you think, you have any nutrition in there? And not only that, the nutrition that you have in there, you've got phytates, okay? You've got phytic acid, you've got oxalates, which makes you so they're anti-nutrients, and you're not going to absorb that much. So anyways, this is what I'm doing right now. It's something that is for me to be able to reduce as much inflammation as I can get out of my system. Reduce as much inflammation as I can get out so I can get myself healed. And so I'd say I'm probably, my digestion, like I said, is better than it ever has been. I can't even remember. Okay, I poop a couple times a day and I don't feel bloated one bit, and I'm eating a lot of food. And where does all that food go? It goes inside my body. Like I said, I've gained 20 pounds. And I'm not having any fiber. Is because why do I want to put a bunch of fiber inside my gut? And I'm having problems with my gut. I don't need the fiber. And if you're just going to eat fiber, okay, then all this insoluble cellulose, just think of it, it is plugging up your intestinal tract. Okay, you're detoxing yourself. Fasting is detoxing yourself. You're malnourishing yourself when you fast. When you go on these vegetarian and vegan type diets, fruitarian diets, you're malnourishing yourself is because you're not getting everything the body needs. This is the way it is. And you may think different, and that's fine. No one's here to twist your head, okay? But I just want you to go ahead and see. Remember, this has been my day job and night job for over 40 years. And the only way a doctor can learn is you got to get bloody sick yourself. I had to try every diet there was. every one, and see which one is the best, not only for peak performance, but what's best for the world. And you know, there's so many different nuances and all the different things we're going to talk about in the future here, but we got a lot of good videos that I'm just putting out right now on detoxification. And again, you can only detox so much, guys. You have to refeed. You can only fast so much before you need to refeed. And if you're going to refeed on just vegetables and not really refeed yourself with, well, the things that you may want to refeed yourself with, which are fat-soluble vitamins, okay, that are already in another creature, that they've processed it and made it, and you're just going to eat what someone else made, and it's going to heal you. Remember, this is to heal you. If you have inflammation, gut inflammation, if you have skin issues, depression, okay, a lot of these plant compounds cause these conditions. As you can see, a lot of different people, fruitarians, vegans, vegetarians, okay, once you get deficient, guys, you start getting a little mental. You start taking antidepressants, you start going to the doctor, and now you're on the hamster wheel of the pharmaceutical business. And if that's the way it is, guys, well, then again, you better figure out how to really, you know, navigate in the system here that wants you to really maybe trip. You go on too many vegetables, you know what happens to you? It's a catabolic diet. We already explained this. You lose your hormones. You're going to lose your strength. You're going to lose your lean muscle mass. You get this sort of, as you can see, a lot of people have sarcopenia. Sarcopenia, what is that? That's when you get muscle wasting. And muscle wasting is not cool. I was getting it before. And if you get muscle wasting, you get bone wasting. Okay, muscles and bones grow together. Okay, so if you have bigger muscles, then you have more dense bones. Is because when you exercise, and that's how you get bigger muscles, and you eat correctly, which means you're going to eat mitochondria that is, well, loaded full of creatine, loaded full of the power that it takes to be able to move muscles. Okay, creatine, creatinine, taurine, all your fat-soluble vitamins, all your B vitamins. And B vitamins, remember, are super important, and you're not getting them in your plants, guys. So again, watch out. Make sure you be careful about, if you're going to do the plant-based diet, like I said, I would suggest doing that for 180 days, and it's good for you to do that. It'll whittle you down, okay, and don't eat so bloody much. And try to, again, you're going to be on a catabolic diet. Plants don't give you hormones. They take them away. They may balance maybe some of your hormones for a little while, and you may feel really good for a little while. But this is why I always say, guys, if you're going to use the plant diet, then stretching is way better than, and doing cardio, than doing any type of physical resistance training, because you don't have the hormones to make, well, testosterone to make muscle. And when you start refeeding with animal products, you do not mix them with anything. Okay, this is what I found out. You mix, let's say you're going to have a steak and some fish and some eggs, and you've used butter or tallow butter. Okay, that's your fat. So you're going to need a 1.5 pH in your gut to be able to break down that very dense protein, and you're going to chew it up to nothing. Chew it up to nothing more than saliva in little tiny pieces the size of a piece of sand. And this is going to take you 2 hours to digest this, at least, so you don't have any water after that for 2 hours. And you don't mix it with potatoes, you don't mix it with rice, you don't mix it with fruit, grains, greens, any of that stuff. It's because you're going to mess up your acid in your stomach. Your stomach needs 1.5 pH to break down that heavy-duty, dense protein and fat. And it takes a couple hours. I found out, forget about the science, guys, I can just tell you in my gut. And I don't drink anything until my body says I'm thirsty. And that's either after 2 hours, okay, because I make sure that I don't have any water in my stomach. Okay, I don't want to dilute my acids down. If I ate a potato with my eggs and my fish, then I'm not going to digest it as good, as because the potato is starch and it takes a whole different pH and it's a whole different deal. All that fiber inside absorbing up all the acid and stuff like that. I want the acid to break down that flesh. I want the acid to break down those essential minerals, okay, amino acids and all these things to make it so I can become strong again. So again, I've gained 20 pounds and I am twice as strong as I was before, and this is just a report of findings, because there's lots of people out there that want to get into the vegetarian and vegan diet. You're just going to have to watch yourself, make sure you take a lot of supplements, and I wouldn't take it any longer than 180 days. You know, if you want to go longer than that, then again, guys, make sure you have eggs, okay, and raw cheese and raw butter, good butter, no garbage, no commercially made stuff. It's got to be all organic, local stuff. And, you know, it goes the same with the plants. Make sure, again, that you learn about oxalates, you learn about phytates, and we'll go ahead and do a lot of videos and show you how to navigate. It's not that you can't eat plants, you have to process the bloody plants, okay? Raw food vegan is the worst, is because you have all the plant defense mechanisms and you're gonna get clean the best. It's because all these plant defense mechanisms are inside your body and they're gnawing away at your system. But if you put too many of them in your system, then you start getting beat up. So be careful of that. And of course, that's not everybody. Some people are pretty good herbivores for a little while. And you may get, like I said, depression. You may feel like your muscles are wasting away. You may feel weak. You may feel like I got joint soreness everywhere. Okay, that's not cool. It's just not. Foggy-headed, can't remember anything, not sleeping well, all these pieces. Remember, and I have taken away most of the assaults in my world. I don't use Wi-Fi here. I don't live next to any cell phone towers. I mean, I have distilled water that I add minerals to. Clean water, of course. That's another whole part of this thing. And, you know, I mean, you can't live a cleaner life than I'm living where I'm living. The problem was the amount of plants I was eating. That was the biggest problem. And so right now, like I said, I'm taking a break from all of this irritation, and miraculously, it's healing me. Okay, miraculously. So this may help you guys in the future, and I'm going to do this diet, like I said, I was going to do it for 90 days, and that's it. And I got so much benefit out of it, I said I'm going to keep on going. So I did, like I said, a couple films on my progress physically, not too deep, but you can go ahead and see. From me, 127 pounds, I show you my picture when I started there, and what a wimp, okay, blowing away in the wind. And of course, I was getting close to getting sickness and going to the hospital. And if I was the average person, I've had blood coming out of my anus for 1.5 years. Okay, you'd go to the hospital and you're going to go on their pharmaceutical program. They're not going to tell you about changing your diet. They're not going to go ahead and tell you about anything. Okay, they're just going to put you on pharmaceuticals. And that's not good. I'll make sure that I'm still going. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, don't get caught, as they say, with your pants down, okay, with this diet. You got to be smart. Remember, detoxification and cleansing is a catabolic event. And you can only go so far before you start becoming catabolization on you. You need protein and your body eats your muscle. And this is why you see so many people with the sunken in eyes, okay, with the hair loss, with, again, skin, really bad eczema, just all these different types of problems with depression and not feeling good and just, you know, can't get out of bed. It's not just your diet, guys. Remember, there's lots of other things. Okay, so watch our videos on RF frequencies. Better reduce your emissions on that. And of course, I'll give you a lot of good videos coming up here on not only my transformation, but a lot of the sort of secrets that I found out too. I'm still going to go ahead, if I'm going to have my tea, tea's loaded full of oxalates. So what do? I use potassium bicarbonate, 1/2 teaspoon or so per each glass, and that neutralizes that garbage. Okay, so we'll do a video on that too. But anyways, we'll see you guys, and what a beautiful day. Whew. Again, just to make myself clear, last thing, plants cleanse you and detox you, okay? And if you mix them with meat, plants and animal products, then you've got problems with digestion. And if you want to make an anabolic event inside your body, then you only have flesh and fat only together. And have, as I'm doing, a couple pieces of fruit right before I work out. I mean, right before, 5 minutes before. And I have the explosive energy, okay, that I want. And I know I have, remember, an apple has the power that you could run about 1.5 miles just with the calories there. What are you going to do? Eat an apple and sit on your can and eat those all day? Okay, that's not training your body well with the fuels that you put in it. You eat a piece of fruit and use it for its power of what you need it for. Okay, so anyways, we'll see you on the next video, guys. Aloha, and don't catabolize yourself too much. We did do a video just on that catabol. Do you have a catabolizing diet or an anabolizing diet? Catabolic or anabolic? So that's a good video for you to see too, just so you can go ahead and remember, make a decision based on what you feel that you need. And if you're catabolic, guys, then don't keep on working yourself catabolically. And if you're anabolic, then, and that means you could be fatty, could have a lot of muscle, hey, maybe you may want to go ahead and catabolize yourself a little bit and detox yourself. So anyways, we'll see you on the next video, guys. Aloha. Show you the ocean there. Okay. And we got real clouds today and sun.